What's up, y'all? It's my first YouTube video, really vlog style, kind of a build walk around. I decided to do this because I broke my foot recently, and so I decided instead of just doing nothing, I might as well document a little bit of what I've done so far and what I'm gonna do. I'm working on a 1994 Ranger. This Ranger was handed down to me from my grandpa. My great grandpa bought it brand new. I got it when I was 16, about 6 years ago. And back then I did a few little things, mainly just new headlights, taillights, and stuff like that, and let it sit and really just somewhat rot away. I mean, it didn't rust or nothing, but was just more of a paperweight. And now that I finally graduated college and everything, I decided to fix it up and make it somewhat cool, rather than just letting it sit and become useless. So this is going to have about I'm hoping to have about a 10-12 drop, roughly, once I'm all said and done. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of body work on it. It's an older Ranger. It's pretty straight, but I mean, it did have some areas for filler and everything like that. And I am doing a color change, so I went ahead and pulled all the glass except the door glass. I'm doing the jams, and the front part of the hood I'm going to end up doing as well, the radiator support, just so it doesn't look gray. I'm not going to do the whole engine bay. So some of the things I've done on this so far for the bodywork wise is I shaved the emblems on both sides. I did a cow delete, which is a weld-in panel you weld in right here from Rick's Rangers. A lot of the parts I've bought are from Rick's Rangers. He has a lot of stuff for these older Rangers and newer Rangers, suspension wise and aesthetic wise. As you see here, I got a new fender. This one was a little far gone for getting it all straightened out perfectly. And then I did do an antenna shave as well. Obviously a fender delete on this side. I kept the door handles for functionality. I really want this to be a cool daily. I did do a third brake light delete, which I'll be putting an LED bar between the roll pan and the tailgate. I'll show the interior here in a later video once I get it all done. Pretty much stock interior. I have an aftermarket Grant steering wheel. I might switch that out. I don't know yet. I painted the dash with rust duplicolor, I think, vinyl and fabric spray. It turned out okay. I did it with the windshield in before I pulled the windshield, so I will go back in and touch this up. I'm debating on getting a new dash cover that's already black. That way it's in perfect shape, but financially I don't know if I'm going to do that right now. For the front of it, sorry, this video is not very smooth. I do have a broken foot I'm hobbling around on. For the front of it, I shaved the bumper cover. I think it's called a bumper pad. Filled those in with metal, welded it in, and then did a little filler. I did get the 4x4 valence, it's not on it yet, that has the fog lights, and I'm going to try to do an aftermarket fog light setup on that rather than getting the OEM ones. So as you can see, here's the hood, just OEM hood. This took the most Bondo. There was some major dents that I did pound out and then end up getting some filler on, for example right here. So now really suspension wise, I'm going to go over the back real quick for how you can get low, to my knowledge. Don't quote me on all of this because I'm still learning as well, but from what I've read and what I've experienced so far, it's kind of what you need to do. So obviously, most of the time you start off with a flip kit, which will give you 5 inches on these. This is a 94 I-beam Ranger. A flip kit will give you 5 inches. So that's all you're doing is taking the leaf spring, flipping it over, and putting it on the bottom. So that's your 5 inches. And then you can do a shackle flip. Some people don't like it. Some people do. They say it messes with pinion angle. I haven't looked at my pinion angle yet, so I'm not for sure. But that will give you an additional 2. You have to drill the rivets out here, grind them off, however you want to get them out. They're not the easiest thing. And then these just mount upside down. So that will give you 2 inches. It seems like it would be more of a drop, but from what I've read, it's about 2 inches. And then from there, you can do put blocks in. I do have a 1-inch block, so overall this would be a 5-inch flip kit plus 1-inch block would be 6, and then the shackle flip would give me 8. I do plan on getting the drop leaf springs for this, which would be an additional 4, which then I'd probably just run the flip kit, obviously with the drop leaf springs, and then a shackle flip would put me at 11, which would be probably right where I want to be at. And then if that's too much, I'll just flip the shackles back around and get me back to 10 or 9, sorry, and then put a block for 10 roughly. Obviously, if you're going lower than about 5, I did a flip kit and then I put 1-inch blocks. So I was 6 inches and I was sitting on bump stop. I trimmed the bump stops and I was hitting frame. So you're pretty much going to need the notch if you're going any more than a flip kit. Some people recommend flipping or notching with the flip kit. Obviously, if you don't want to bang up your frame or anything like that, I would recommend doing a notch with a flip kit. As you can see back here, I've cut the spare tire, took all the brackets off for that, welded in this bar across here just for structural support, kind of peace of mind. I don't know if it was actually needed. And then if you're going lower than, I think lower than 6, you're going to start hitting the diff on the underside of the bed. Some people just notch this right here, and they can get away with that clearance. I did relocate the brake divider, I'm not sure exactly what that's called, and put it back there, and then grinded the top off to give me a couple inches, about 1 inch there total. But then I ended up notching this brace across here, as you can see, and then I did notch my bed. I haven't finished that yet. So once you do get this low, obviously your exhaust isn't going to fit, so you're going to need to cut it off and have a custom one made. I have something very temporarily set up. I would like to do a side exit or just leave it as is and have a little more professional dump. I don't want this truck to be loud. It's just a stock 4.0. Another thing is with my sway bar, when I did the notch, it was hitting. I took the shocks off and was jumping on to see what would be hitting. Obviously for when I do go lower. So I just loosened up the U-bolts on the sway bar and turned it forward, and it seems to be fine. I haven't driven on it yet, so I'm not for sure. One thing that's a problem on these is obviously the fuel tank sits pretty low here. That might be an issue I run into, and if it is, I'm going to end up doing a fuel cell in the back there where I deleted the spare tire. So that's really the suspension for the back so far, and kind of the plans. I mean, really all I need is to get new shocks and then the drop leaves. So that's the front, the rear, I apologize. And the front of these are I-beam Rangers. So if you're going to go low at all, you need to get the Dream beams. These are pretty sought after. I don't even know if you can see them, to be honest. They're black. They were painted. I painted them. That'll give you 3 inches. I have 2 coils cut right now. But Rick's Rangers has a coilover bracket that is can bolt on. I'm going to weld it on. He recommends welding it. That will convert it to run QA1 coilovers. And then for the front, with the coilovers, you're going to need to have tie rod notch or bump steer kit. Bump steer kit lowers the tie rod down. There's a place on Dropped Rangers Facebook page, a guy that sells them on there. It's about $170 for this year Ranger, because your tie rods will start hitting into the frame. You're going to need to flip the sway bar underneath the tie rods as well. That way they're not hitting, or just delete the sway bar depending. I'm going to flip it so I can keep it. And then for underneath the truck, there are some things that hang low. The transmission mount hangs pretty low, cross member. So I ordered the one from Rick's Rangers and have that. Also with the radius arms, which are these little things right here. They run back, the brace, the mount for that sits really low, and Rick does make a relocator for that too, I bought. And then as far as the outside goes, I'm going to end up painting it probably a red from Dodge. I can't remember the exact name of it right now, but I'm going to paint it red, and I'm hoping to keep these black chrome wheels. I just picked these up yesterday. These are Saline wheels. They're 18x9 plus 24. I picked them up for $200. Seemed like a pretty good deal. The other two are in worse condition. They're peeling, so I'm going to have to see what I could do about that. I'm hoping to keep the black chrome, but if not, I'll end up painting them white. Overall, you know, going low on these isn't easy. I mean, it's not like I have a Z, but it's not like that. You do have to do a little bit more work to get it low. Obviously, it's a truck. The coilover front conversion, the mounts are 130. And then you're looking at about 400 to 450 on the actual coilovers just for the front, which does end up being pretty pricey. But you got to pay to play, and that's part of it. So that's really the rundown on everything on this truck so far. I'm probably missing a few things. But I did break my foot, and I've been working on this for the past about a month, about 2 months probably. Just doing the bodywork and everything. The cab's ready for primer. Obviously, I have the bed off, so it's not quite ready as well. And I'm hoping to get it painted here soon. But obviously, breaking my foot kind of put me behind a little bit. One thing I want to mention while I'm here is that you really should, if you're doing a flip kit, I recommend taking the bed off. It's 6 six bolts, I think, maybe seven bolts that would go straight through the bed. And they could be tight. Mine actually weren't too bad. I mean, it was a little bit of a chore to get them out, but then the bed pulls right off. All you need to do is pull the fuel neck hose and then move the wiring. I actually relocated my wiring to mount on the back of this cross brace here. That way when I am pulling the bed, it's not as big of a pain. So I recommend pulling the bed to do a flip kit. It just allows you to get to the bolts a lot easier, and I think it'll just make your day a lot easier. So right now I'm on these 19s. These are some wheels my dad gave me. They're not too bad. I mean, I don't mind them too much, but when you're going this low, you really can't fit them, so I'm looking to get a smaller diameter. These are the other two saline wheels I have. As you can see, some of the chrome is flaking off, so I'll probably do a DIY video on that. Obviously, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to turn out, but we'll see. I'm hoping it turns out pretty decent. This is a stock 4.0 for now. I want this to be a cool daily, like I said. So I'm going to leave this in here, and hopefully it keeps running. This truck only has about 88,000 original miles on it, so it's not too bad. It's going to be fine, I think, for a little while now. But overall, that's pretty much the rundown on this truck.